Today, we're going to be talking about the Mountain Murder Tapes. I have the infamous group responsible for the creation of the Mountain Murder Tapes. And as we know from the classic movie, The Three Amigos, infamous means more than famous. So let's kind of go around the room here, and we could just go left to right and just kind of explain who you are and how you got involved in the project.
Sounds good. Cool.
So would that be my left or your left?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
My name is Dwyer, and I produced Mountain Murder Tapes.
Hey, my name is Jacob Seltzer, and I co-directed and co-wrote Mountain Murder Tapes.
My name is Benjy Steinberg. I co-wrote and co-directed Mountain Murder Tapes with Jacob.
Hi, I'm Erin Russoniello, and I also produce Mountain Murder Tapes.
Awesome. Well, excellent job on this. I was before we were starting, I was kind of mentioning I'm in Montana and we're getting TikTok banned in Montana. So I was like, I better upload this before they ban it. I don't know if they're going to enforce it or exactly, but I think it's a really cool, we've seen kind of the evolution of the found footage format for years now. It's been really kind of fascinating to watch how it's evolved. Starting with, of course, there's probably some earlier ones. I think you can go back to like Peeping Tom for this, the 60s movie. When you go into sport, of course, like the really crazy one is Cannibal Holocaust. Mm-hmm. And when that came out, that had such a bizarre story about how the whole cast had to disappear for a year because the director wanted people to think that everybody really died when they went to the Amazon. And so I was like, that was way ahead of its time. Of course, then we move on to Blair Witch, and we saw what kind of marketing phenomenon happened with that movie. And that was just incredible. That was like probably one of the very first viral sensations as far as movies is concerned. But the marketing for that movie and the documentary was so incredible. If people thought it was real, of course. Yeah. And then you go on to Paranormal Activity, which is every one of these movies are kind of tapping into a primal element that really strikes a chord with people. Of course, countless others, Area 51, Willow Creek. Most recently, and I think this kind of leads up to your movie, is Host, made in the pandemic by Rob Savage, where he made this movie entirely off of Zoom, did practical effects. It's about a seance that happens. So everybody is kind of like in these remote locations, locked down. They're communicating over Zoom, and there's a seance that happens, and then Ghost just runs rampant and starts attacking people. And I thought that was really cool. It's like, and I think that was actually released in the theater as well too. And that went viral, and that kind of launched his career as well, Rob Savage's career as well. He's doing a new version of The Boogeyman right now. It's coming out early June. But that leads up to what you did here with this TikTok movie and all these short segments, these mountain murders, and then of course introducing all the main characters, and then going on all these short segments, kind of keeping you watching in like a cliffhanger fashion until it forms kind of like an extended short movie. So I thought this was a really cool idea, and I think this is what we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the future as far as platforms are concerned. They started trying to do this with Quibi, but it did not work because they're trying to do like a pay format for it. But I think that you're on to the right thing with this. So tell me about like where the inspiration came for this.
Yeah, so Benjy and I are old friends from college, and we often go on hikes. And on one of our hikes, Benjy was talking about this video. I'm a big skier, and he was talking about a video that I had posted skiing through the woods. Actually, I was in Montana where I took the photo.
Right on.
But it was like super spooky. It was like skiing through the woods, and we were like, what if this could be a horror movie, like something on a ski mountain. Never really, seen something like that in this, especially in like the short format. We were like spitballing ideas, and Blair Witch was both of our one of our favorite movies, and kind of like bringing that into this new generation. For most of the TikTok generation, people on TikTok are not necessarily familiar with Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity. And like this effect of like, is it real? Is it not real? Like, are these kids still alive? And the whole like element of the found footage, especially because if Blair Witch was made today, the film students would be shooting on their iPhones, and it would probably end up on TikTok first and foremost. So yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah. I mean, totally. It was interesting because Jacob was posting these beautiful yet creepy, Instagram videos of him skiing through the woods. And, of course, I'm sure you've seen these YouTube videos of these extreme sports people with their GoPros, whatnot.
Yeah.
Especially the genesis of the idea we were talking about, like, oh, what if someone was on some longer, backcountry ski trip and, somehow they got into a situation where they're stuck in the woods, it was haunted, whatever. And then, as we developed the idea, we, contended with the possibility of shooting, for 4 days in like the snowy, dark woods. And we're like, okay, yeah, there's a reason Blair Witch wasn't shot in the snow, So
Yeah.
like, let's throw this indoors, but we can still have that, remote element of a ski mountain, which is why we set, that central location, the ski cabin, of a super remote top of the ski mountain where there's only access via one gondola that closes at night.
Yeah, that's cool. And like the gondola, oh, that reminds me. When I was watching you get like all this cool production value out of it too, like when you're in the ski lodge and the mountains and everything. And it takes you to like kind of a location that you, like you said, you don't normally see for horror movies. There's been a couple, but there was one sort of reminded me of this one. You guys were on the gondola. It was, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's about this group that gets stuck at the top of a ski lift.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, because that instantly adds like a creepiness. Like, well, the height, I get vertigo, so when I'm watching that, I was like, that's cool. It's all like really cool production value. And kind of like you're saying, like there's very few horror movies that have utilized like the mountains and skiing. Usually it's comedies. Usually you see these kind of like screwballs comedies or 80s movies that have that where they use skiing as the scenario, but not necessarily a horror movie. Maybe a few like Yeti movies thrown in there, but yeah, I thought that was a really cool like location to utilize for it. So did you kind of have an in with the cabin, or how did you secure locations for that?
Yeah, so my relative Brad generously offered to donate the location. It's his cabin up in Mammoth, and we shot there, we slept there, we cooked our meals there, and it was a great location.
So essentially, Jacob shot the ski video at a trip to Montana in March. Jacob and Benjy wrote the script in March and April. We cast the first week of April. Then like a week later, we were up in Mammoth Mountain to scout locations. And then the week after that, we were shooting. So we like really wanted to get this film made by the end of the ski season. And the idea was conceived at the end of the ski season. So we really wanted to rush up to Mammoth. During the scouting trip, there was not much snow on the ground, but it was a huge party scene up in Mammoth. So there was a lot of people. So we were excited for like, from a guerrilla filmmaking standpoint, to have a really crowded ski mountain to immerse ourselves in. And like there's a great après ski scene that is in the tapes. And we were hoping to shoot it at a big party, but when we actually got there the week later, there was nobody partying up in Mammoth Mountain, but there was a ton of snow. So we were able to like get a benefit from the environment, even though not many people were skiing that weekend. So yeah, we were graciously gifted the cabin, but then everything else was guerrilla style, and we made shots where we could make them.
So when we arrived, we did this last year. So this season was, as everybody knows, was a lot of snow everywhere, especially in California, like record year. But the last year when we shot this, it was like slim pickings. Really got like no snow at all, except for like one weekend in April. There was like this the season was technically over, and it was the weekend we were going to shoot. And by the grace of God, we got this giant snowstorm that happened, and like it covered the entire town, and it made the whole production like we were really in a winter wonderland, even though it was like almost May, of like a season that was very dry.
That's great.
Yeah.
Usually Mother Nature decides to curse film sets as opposed to
So,
that's different. So when I did a search for mountain murder tapes, I did this Google search, and I was like, is the FBI going to be coming after me? Because all these other like murder things showed up, which I thought was kind of interesting, because you have like this search thing where it's going to bring your movie up, or like it's going to show up in a lot of searches, I think, because so many things have like Murder Mountain. And there was that Netflix movie, Murder Mountain. There's just a couple of things that pulled up, the Murder Tapes, Mountain Murders podcast, which is separate. Then there was like some kind of like appellation. I was like, how many, like, I just thought it made me realize there's a lot of murder going on in the mountains. Maybe it's a good idea to stay away from there most of the time. A lot of like dangerous thing. Yeah, because if like a lone crazy killer isn't coming after you and you're outside too long, you're going to get hit by like the environment or like whatever animals are coming after you too. So there's all kinds of things that can get rid of you out there. So this is cool. The night vision was a cool approach. So the killer that had the night vision sort of reminded me of when you watch the original Friday the 13th, and you watch like all these different sort of like POV from movies happening over the years. But this one had like that kind of, it sort of reminded me of like a military look. So I was interested in what the approach was with that, because it kind of does like sort of remind me of like a stalker or like a stealth operation like you'd see in a military movie, but not usually that I see in a horror movie. But I thought that was really cool. So I'm curious about like the decision for that as well.
We really wanted to like distinguish between the found footage from the iPhones and the stalker's POV. And you know, the first thing we did, we shot everything on an iPhone that was the found footage, and then the stalker was shot on a GoPro. So it would just have like a little bit of a different look. But
yeah,
to add like the extra element of like this is, and especially because most of the footage is happening at night, we were like, that night vision, that military style was exactly, has this like element of intrigue, element of people being like stalked immediately, like you're through the lens of a killer when you see that kind of like scope. It's like the sniper scope almost.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's like the sniper scope. It has like this, it adds like a creepy stealth element to it, rather than just like the breathing and someone coming after them. It adds like a little bit more mystique to it, I think. But I think that's cool. I think that was a really good decision. And the cast that you chose for this was fantastic too. Did you know them beforehand, or were you all friends beforehand, or did you do like a specific casting for it?
It was sort of a mix and match. You guys want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. We'll give shout outs to our cast too. I think the first person we cast was Sky. Caroline Drury plays her, and she's also has a really strong following on TikTok. And we noticed also that some folks recognized her in the comments section. So bringing back to like the cast in typical found footage movies, going into hiding and pretending that they were lost and dead. That was like something we did consider, but we had cast members with established followings.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the rest of the cast?
Yeah. So, started with Caroline, knowing her and knowing that she'd be a great fit kind of for the character that Jacob and Benjy created. And then we also had a friendship from both, from Benjy mainly with Kendrick Kirk, who played Brendan's character. And he was just like the perfect fit, and he was so in the zone, like he would turn it on so quickly, and it was just like shocking on set, honestly, for us to like feel like we're talking, is it Kendrick or is it Brandon? Like it was he was so great. And then we did actually hold some castings out of Benjy's apartment actually for the remaining roles, kind of our co-female lead being Nova Che, who we were just blown away with her self-tape, and then the chemistry we saw in person with her, with her co-star Spencer Levin, who was just amazing as well, bringing so much in terms of comedy and layers and everything else to his performance. We feel so lucky to have found them through kind of like an open casting call, and to have seen such great chemistry during the castings. And feel really, really lucky to know them both professionally and just personally now as well.
Yeah. Another really great element from the actors is that there was always a take that was read off the script, and then there was always take that was improvised. So there was a lot of work to make the scenes feel natural and real that was improvised. And another thing that was really impressive about the actors, and specifically Caroline was also our cinematographer. Like she was holding the camera. And so to be able to like act and deliver scenes that are so comedic and also like well framed and like fun and scary and dramatic. Like to deliver that as an actor while also holding the camera, I think is really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you actually read my mind on that one because that's just what I was thinking. I was wondering how much of that was improv and how much of that was written. I think you pulled that off really well because you can tell with movies where they're blatantly improving, especially for especially in comedies when they're going like a little bit too over the top or whatnot. This one I couldn't really tell. I couldn't really tell what was written and what was improv. I was like, they may have improv here, or they may have not. It kind of confused me, which I think is great because it came off very natural. It came off if they were improving stuff or when they were improving stuff, they were doing it so that it was organic to the scene. So I think it played it really well. Yeah, but and it makes it more kind of, it makes you get into it a lot more when you can't tell whether it's improv or it's written, because since you're going for that kind of documentary angle on it.
The improv was, always something that we wanted to integrate into the project. We actually had written, full script. So like if there was no improv, the story would still be told in a full way. But we cast actors that were able to improv and were able to, really dig into like who their character was and expand on what we had written. And bring like a new light to it. I think one actor that was a smaller part, Thomas Rounds, who played Thurston, who's really creepy in that role, and like he just like I think all of his lines ended up being improv during that. All the gondola scenes with each of those actors, we had one gondola ride to get that shot, and we did this. The scene is written. And each gondola ride was like 5 minutes. We could only go to the mid station because the top station was closed. So it was like a 5-minute we had 5 minutes to shoot, and we did the shot as written. And then we're like, all right, go off script, just like get to know your characters. Really, this is all about character work. And, that's really when you get to like build the relationships. And that's was really important to us because like the stakes when these relationships are, so strong, and when the characters are really, at the front of the story, you're going to start to care. Their audience is going to start to care about when these kids start going through the ringer and getting, killed. Like that's, you really care about them. You are along for the journey, and that improvisation that the actors brought to the story went so far beyond what we could have dreamed, which was incredible. And we're so thankful for them. Yeah.
That video like also ended up being one of our first ones that had a nice viewership and like really captured an audience too, which was cool to see because that paid off. It was a pretty high stakes shot.
Yeah. It was a great dynamic, and to me it came off as like an audience member. Like these were a group of friends that had hung out with each other for a while. They had like that certain dynamic where Jesse and Brandon, Brandon was getting on his nerves, and there's like a scene like when they're in a hot tub where he kind of snaps. And real groups of friends are like that. They have like these things where certain elements will pull up or they get on each other's nerves, and that came across as very authentic. Did they all know each other before you cast them, or?
No.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's cool. You pulled that off.
Erin has a good story about them.
Yeah, so they did get a little bit of time before shooting to bond, which was lovely, in that I drove them all up to Mammoth in actually the picture vehicle that we ended up using, the Jeep. So we got 5 hours for everyone to kind of like get to know each other personally and just really like crack jokes and dive into like personal relationships, and a lot deeper than I think most actors usually get with each other. So it just felt like everyone was friends, and like the characters were friends, and that we were all, connected already. And I think that really came throughout the duration of filming. And we brought it back every day with like a family meal at the end of every shooting day, whether we were coming back from filming or setting up for a night shoot, which I think just created a really grounded experience for everyone to kind of touch base and recenter. And also just like served as a reminder that everyone does like each other and cares about each other and wants to make the most, highest quality product possible. So we sensed the friendship both on screen and on set.
Yeah, and when movies go well like that, it has like a summer camp feel to it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people will just stay friends for years, if not, lifetime friends from as a result of that. So yeah, it's cool. That sounds like what happened with this movie. So are there any plans about kind of expanding the story with this kind of doing, because this is kind of cool, like at the beginning, or like, you know, when you see the description of it, it's like these all these people are missing and here's the footage. So I think it's cool because it leaves it very kind of ominous and vague about like what, but it opens it up for, especially with the way that it kind of ends too, it opens it up like there could be a continuation of the story and like maybe a different format or maybe more of these TikTok formats. Do you have any plans for that? Or
Totally. I mean, we're open to anything, you know. I think we just want to keep the door open for it. Yeah, there's so many different directions we could go. I think there's so many sort of layers of the story too, because, you know, one element we didn't, you know, fully explore yet is the idea that there is someone, the killer is ostensibly, you know, posting these videos
right.
to TikTok. So like, what's going on with that? You know, I feel like there's just like there's richness at so many levels, and I feel like we could go in so many different directions. So yeah, we're open to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool angle. Just thinking about that. Do you plan on kind of like releasing it all together as like a short movie as well too, or?
Well,
Yeah,
we've talked about it.
we talked about it, yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have nothing planned right now,
Yeah.
but we've talked about it. I think especially like people do want to see that version of it, which we're aware of. And the footage exists to create that version.
There's something about the TikTok format though,
Yeah.
that like really, like these, you know, episodes are so short, and the way that TikTok kind of like works is that the video ends and then it immediately starts at the beginning. So like when there's things that like, there's so many details that are like, you know, happen like just like the snap of a finger, and that like watching it like 2 to 3 times, we've seen, you know, that the way that TikTok like forces the viewer to watch it like is kind of like what I think is the best part of the viewing experience, and why this project, you know, what makes the distribution method of this project so special. So like,
yeah,
putting it
no, you're
out.
right. Yeah, that's the other, I was thinking of that too. It's so addictive. It's because it's just one leads to, and the videos are so short, which makes it even more addictive. But it does like just like keep you on there until they're all finished. But that's cool. Whereas in other formats, kind of, there may be more of like a moment to pause or something, but because they're so short, I think it's a really interesting experiment, but this is kind of like something that's an experiment that'll be something that's probably be more leading up to mainstay in the years to come. With this format happening this way, because it does like eliminate the need to pause something, because you have to watch what's happening next after the next like minute or two. Yeah, so no, I think that's a cool idea. You're definitely onto something there as well too. Yeah. Does any of you have like any kind of recommendations for any kind of found footage movies that you watched, like other than Blair Witch, that kind of inspired you or kind of stuck out in your mind?
I really like the anthology VHS.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
That was really cool, and just the idea that the sort of framing device of like these what are they, like urban explorers or delinquents like going into the house and finding these VHS tape, and then all these different found footage stories are on the VHS tape. Like, I think it's so cool the way that, you know, found footage opens up again that question of, okay, how did this, you know, how was this footage created? Who shot it? Who's distributing it? You know, there's so many layers. I like that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
I think the Poughkeepsie tapes were also a reference for us. Also, like being footage that was released on YouTube, like in a time when YouTube was also something fresh and a new place to like a new form of media. I think that was definitely a reference point for us, and I thought about that a lot during the making of this project.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that one. That's a really influential movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because it was earlier on when that happened as well too. Yeah, like earlier on and like when that was happening. Yeah, that's true. That influenced a lot of movies after that as well too. There's two that kind of stick out with me as well too. One, well, there's a bunch of great ones, but Taken to Deborah Logan is a really cool one. Anybody seen that movie? Yeah, that creeped me out. So they're basically like they're documenting this elderly woman who they think has dementia, but it's actually maybe a demon possession. So it just gets creepier and creepier as she keeps losing her mind or getting possessed as the movie continues. That one stuck out in my mind. Another movie called The Den, which is about a missing person. That one was so disturbing. It has not left my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it was very well done, the way that it was pulled off.
I really like Horror in the High Desert, and I feel like that was
Oh,
yeah. And the second one came out, I
Mhm.
think, like 2-ish years ago.
Mhm.
But the first really stuck with me, and I think kind of like the remote aspect of that film is something that we really tried to get into with this project as well. And just the feeling of like isolation, and that it's you against whoever or whatever it is that is hunting you.
Yeah.
So was inspiring here. And then also Hell House LLC was kind of a fun
Yep.
one. In that there was like so much rapport with that group of friends as they're like building this haunted house that they're trying to make into something that I think was also inspirational for the group of friends in Mountain Murder Tapes too.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Hell House is really cool. There's a couple of those houses that October built's a cool one too. I haven't seen Horror in the High Desert, but a lot of people recommended it to me lately, so I'll definitely be checking that one out. I'm glad you brought that one up. So what was so kind of last question here. What was the most difficult thing? I guess two-parter. What was the most difficult thing about this movie? And what would you do differently if you were to do it over again?
I'd say like, a really interesting and fun challenge was learning, the distribution format of TikTok. We learned so many lessons. Like, I think that, part of that challenge was this idea of, okay, how, like I would do these things, and I think everyone did this, where they just I would just go on TikTok for, an hour and be like, how am I watching these videos? How is my brain working? Which is,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't do enough when I'm watching TV or film, and that almost was helpful to me in the realm of when I'm watching a movie or a TV show. I'm like, okay, when am I feeling, what emotion am I feeling at what time, or when am I like, leaning more forward in my seat or not? That was a very rewarding challenge to me.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You brought that up, actually. Yeah, I really think that we're going to be seeing. It's going to be really cool to see how this format evolves, and how many other movies are going to be coming out like this. And yeah, I'll definitely be looking forward to if you expand on this story, to checking those out.
And then also like another challenge that want to was shooting it, especially at night on a ski mountain at elevation in the like freezing cold weather. Our actors really were such an incredible asset to like their dedication to the project. It couldn't have been made without them. Like Nova Che, when that final shot, she's running through the snow, shoeless, jacketless. We were shooting it at like 3 a.m. on 9,000 elevation, and she just was so dedicated to get this shot. And big challenge with shooting on an iPhone is we really don't have like a video village to make sure that like the shot is perfect. We don't have a cinematographer, like she's holding the camera, so like it's so much of it is like up to chance, as like, is the camera going to land in the right place, is like when she's like running and like moving her arms because she's exerting herself and it's part of the character, like are we going to get her face on the screen, or are we just going to see the snow and you're not going to really see much? And that's part of the fun part of found footage, but it also, we'd like do the shot, look at the footage and be like, oh my God, I'm sorry, Nova, but we have to do it. And she, before we even said that, she'd be like, no, I'm doing it again. We're getting this shot, like we're going to get the perfect shot. And we just kept doing it again and again, and she'd fall into the snow and we'd get right back up and make sure, it looked good. And it was, we got what we needed. And so it was, definitely could not have done this project without that dedication. And
Totally.
Another interesting element from those snow action scenes in the middle of the night is we actually learned we could shoot those scenes on the beach, which we did during reshoots. So we had to do reshoots this year and this winter. So we went up to Mammoth again, but just us four, to grab some extra shots that we wanted to get. We didn't want to bring the actors up because they have committed and busy schedules, and we wanted to see where we could stay low budget and make sure that we could get the shots we needed. So we had this idea to shoot on the beach in Santa Monica and see if it looked like they were running through the snow when they were running through the sand. during the fight scenes, and it did. So
great,
we
yeah.
were able to
Yeah.
with the intercut the beach, the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was an unexpected blessing of the green filter, because
Mm.
Right,
that's what
yeah.
camouflaged the stand of snow.
Yeah.
You know, all those and all that whole ending sequence for the most part is shot from the killer's POVs.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way. I couldn't tell the difference. That's a great way to mask it. I was thinking the exact same thing you said, creative geography, like when they shoot in different areas. And yeah, that's funny. That was just the same, but yeah, I couldn't tell the difference. That was cool. That was cool that you're able to make that happen. It's great. And so at here at the Dead Harvey podcast, we like to talk about lessons that we learned from watching movies. So yeah, I'll pull this up here. Here's a couple of the lessons that I learned from watching Mountain Murder tapes. When skiing after staying up the night before and doing shots, skip the black diamonds. The bunny hill is challenging enough. It's for me when I'm hungover, certainly.
That was a good message.
I tried to go down black diamonds before when I was skiing when I was younger, and I would just fall down the mountain. The people that I was skiing with were doing flips, and I was like, can we do is there some kind of like a lesser intermediate thing that we can do except for like the super advanced skier? But everybody wants to do everybody wants to take you when you first go skiing to the black diamonds. I kind of laughed at that when that was brought up in the movie when that comment was made. Second, if an uptight hippie yells at you for being too loud, don't give them a shaken up beer. Get them high instead. It's legal, and the odds are you've just made a new friend.
I love the characterization.
Yeah.
Hippie.
Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome. He was great. Yeah. He was both kind of like, what was cool about his character is he was both creepy, but then at the same time, you're like, he could definitely kill somebody. I should be scared of him, but I kind of want to hang out with him.
I know.
That was my reaction to it. Next, pickaxes are good for more than just mining. Last time I saw a pickaxe used as a murder weapon was in the classic My Bloody Valentine, and I don't think I've seen it used much in movies since then. But it's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
It's underutilized.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, there might have been like one other horror movie that I've seen Killer with a Pickaxe, and all of these like weapons that Michael Myers picks up or Jason Voorhees picks up, they never grab a pickaxe. But the location was perfect for it.
We learned a lot about different, like the pickaxe adjacent tools and weapons,
Yes.
like in
Yeah,
finding
yeah.
there were ice picks,
Rock hammers.
rock hammers. Yeah, there's a whole encyclopedia page out there somewhere.
Oh, that's there was actually this what was it? It was a YouTube video I was watching, and a pickaxe is an essential survival weapon for skiing because there was actually a guy that was skiing, and on this video, it was crazy. He, in a good way though, because he saved somebody's life. There was somebody buried under the snow. He had fallen into, kind of like had an avalanche come on top of him, this like little mini avalanche. So this guy passing him had a GoPro on, and you could hear him just kind of like muffled, "Help me." And he took his pickaxe out, and it was like a pickaxe or a shovel or something. They took it out, but he saved the guy's life and just dug him out from there. I was like, yeah, go skiing, bring a pickaxe. Well, plus it would be like a good defense weapon if a murderer has a pickaxe. So
This is true. Get into like a pickaxe lightsaber battle.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I like that. Okay, and then last, when being attacked in a horror movie scenario, for the love of God, stop filming and concentrate on survival. But it wouldn't make for fun of him. The movie would end a lot faster if that happened. Okay, cool. Well, thank you everybody for being here. It was great talking to you. Let's just kind of go around the room and plug any kind of projects they have that you want to promote, and just bring up your name again, and then mention whatever projects you're working on and where people can find your work.
My name is Mary Dwyer, and I'm here to plug Mountain Murder Tapes. So please go check it out on TikTok mainly. Create an account, check out Mountain Murder Tapes on TikTok.
Yeah, my name is Jacob. Also, definitely go check out Mountain Murder Tapes if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet. And also, support the WGA and the writer's strike. Once that's over, I have a new action comedy that I'm taking out feature.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Benjy Steinberg. I'm echoing what my compatriots are saying on, Ad Mounted Murder Tapes on TikTok, WGA strike, stay strong. And in the future, I was just developing this TV spy thriller pilot with the Sundance Institute. It's called The Professor and the Spy. I'm really excited about it, but that is for a new age after the strike. So, yeah.
So I'm Erin Russoniello. Follow and like and comment on at Mountain Murder Tapes on TikTok. And if you're, a horror filmmaker and you want to chat about stuff, feel free to DM me on Instagram. It's sus_Russ. So happy to chat with anyone about horror.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, it was great talking to everybody and looking forward to your upcoming work. And everybody, check out Mountain Murder Tapes. Very addictive. Okay, so that wraps up this episode of the Dead Harvey podcast. Thank you for listening. And until next time, if you get the urge to go skiing, consider a video game version. You can do impressive stunts much easier. It's much more difficult to break limbs, and it keeps you away from all the murder in them there mountains.
Love it.
Yeah, so you got me to now become addicted to TikTok. Thank you.
What's your gateway to-
Yeah, exactly. It happens to everyone who downloads it. So, all right.